So we're doing something new on the channel. We're going to 2 episodes a week. 2 episodes a week. That means there's going to be something on Tuesdays, or thereabouts, Tuesday or Wednesday. We're trying for Tuesdays, but you know, things happen. Something on Tuesdays, a main episode for the week, and then on Thursdays, we're trying for Thursdays. It might be Friday, but Thursdays is what the idea is here, but you know, things happen. There's a couple different kinds of things we're going to do. There's going to be something like today, which is like parts of the episode that didn't make the regular cut. Earlier this week, we did a whole thing on mead, and there was like 2 segments that didn't make it into that episode. It was long enough. There's one part where we made Nord mead, which is another recipe from the book. And then there was a thing where we checked out Newman, he's the brewmaster, his recipe that he made like 10 years ago. It's been sitting in the bottles ever since. And we're going to take a look at both of those parts today. We're also going to be doing these things Meredith and I call after parties. So after we hit cut on an episode, we actually keep recording and kind of bullshit and make another drink and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's sort of a freewheeling discussion, usually about whatever was going on in that episode. Those are fun, actually. I've seen some of them. We haven't released any, but they're fun. Might be doing a compilation. It might be something like that, too. So just 2 episodes a week, okay? That's what we're doing. Not less, more. More is more. Sometimes more is more. Sometimes more is more. So anyway, today we're going to do a little bit more with that mead. And take it away, Greg of the mead.
We're just going to make
a
glass. You got a whole barrel here.
Yeah. Mm. Drink it all! Says Bacchus. Editor, sorry, we're still rolling, aren't we? Don't abandon your work. Oh, shit, man, I'm drunk. Fucking hell. I'm ready to storm a cobalt nest. Let's go. Actually, what I should probably do first is, since my friend is here to be my mead consultant and help me do all this brewing, he also had mead as a wedding gift when he got married, and I don't think I've ever tasted this. I feel kind of bad about it.
That's fine.
Part of that reason it became a wedding favor is because he made too much mead. He had a lot of mead on hand. And we've both apparently been married about 10 years, but to different people. That's how that works.
None of them me.
None of them are Meredith. That's right. What is mead? Mead, I'm going to say it's honey wine. And some pedantic jerks in the comments will say, it's not wine. Wine is made from grapes. Okay, fine. It is a honey-based fermented alcoholic ingestible made using yeast, and that's really it. All of the wine that the Greeks and the Romans drank had pine tar in it. If you go back to the ancient Romans and the ancient Greeks, they didn't have barrels. They had clay urns, amphora, that they would age their wines in, and their amphora were it's a feather in the air. Amphora are porous, right? So you have to somehow seal them. Well, what are we going to use? Wax. Well, they didn't have that much wax. Wax is still hard to come by. We got pine tar. So we're going to seal our amphoras with pine tar. There's still one kind of wine that comes from the Greek islands. The Greek islands just sounds so something, I don't know, from Greece. Chios something, or chiasos. I have some tiers of chios, which are like hard little pine tar crystals that you can add to wine to kind of simulate that. That wasn't a fart, that was my shoes touching each other. I'm gonna say that one more time. Just listen. It sounds like I'm ripping it. And so when you hear these descriptions of all of these ancient peoples having to sweeten water, they would add seawater to it, herbs, they would add honey to it if they had it, they would add lead to it if they had that, little shavings of lead for their wine, because lead tastes good. That's why you don't want to have lead paint chips around your house. Your kids are going to not know any better, they want to eat them. It's like a common question on the internet, like, are there any other rocks or minerals that taste good other than salt? And the answer is lead. Somebody recently in my comments was saying that mead has to be made in a Nordic country to be mead, that it's like a regional appellation of protected thing. Not that I'm aware of.
That's mead too.
That's also mead, yeah, that's a good point. But I don't think that's ever been a protected thing at all. If it is, it's not recognized like outside of Denmark, so it doesn't count. Here we go. This is my buddy Newman's Cheers to Love Honey Mead for his honeymoon. Ooh, I like the finish there. That's good. I love that. That's great. I'm an asshole for not drinking this before. It is on the sweeter end of the spectrum. I get a lot of raisins, currants in it. It's very nice. It reminds me a ton of Viking Blood. It reminds me of that quite a bit, actually. I enjoy that deeply. Definitely a dessert mead. Delicious. Oh my God, I'm just imagining making an affogato with this. Some vanilla ice cream and a little bit of this warmed up and poured on top. Woo! There's a little bit of what I think might be oakiness in there. We
didn't have a ton of time to oak it.
Right, but it was oaked a little.
Yeah.
All right, so I said I wanted to try this on ice cream as an affogato, and I meant it. So let's do that right now. I wanted to warm it up a little bit. I don't want it to be too hot. I'm conflicted because if I heat this up, I might lose a little bit of its ABV. I don't know. I think it's better warm anyway for what we're going to do with it with the ice cream. And the way I want to do that, we're going to do this bartender's bain marie that Jeff Morgenthaler came up with. Brilliant idea. Very, very simple. Oh, I did it the wrong way. Very, very simple. You take your tin, you pour hot water into the big part. He came up with this for heating up toddies, so that he didn't have to, and also like Irish coffees, things like that, so that he didn't need to water them down with hot water. And then we take the thing we want to heat, and we're going to put it in here. It's basically it's a double boiler, actually, is what it is. And you just set it in there. One thing to keep in mind is that this big tin is now really hot. So I'm screwed. I can't touch that. No, can't touch this. I'm just going to walk it across the bar. This part's going to get edited out. I'm a fucking moron. Jesus. It's so hot. So there's a better way to do this. There we go. Okay. Affogato, by the way, is Italian for drowned, and it just basically, that's what it is. You just drown some ice cream in alcohol. All right, so this is looking pretty warm. Oh yeah, plenty hot. And we'll just pour that on my ice cream. I'm really excited about this. Oh, look at that. The smell of that mead, the vapors. Oh, interesting. It almost turns it into like rum raisin. It's a lot winier than I was expecting it to be, actually. It's very good. It's almost like a cognac. Oh, fuck, that's good. Jesus Christ. I promised myself I wasn't going to eat all this, but apparently I am. All right. There's more of this to go. Go check out that Nord Mead before I finish this. Oh, no. Now I want to make this Nord Mead. It's right here in the book. And so, what does this recipe call for? A half a teaspoon of ground cardamom, an inch of fresh ginger, zest of an orange, some cloves, and a cinnamon stick.
What does an inch mean? This is ridiculous.
Every recipe I've ever seen calling for fresh ginger calls for it by inch, 2 inches. Putting ginger in your bunghole, I mean, in some communities, that's a thing people do for fun. You know about that? Never mind. I believe they call that figging, where you carve a butt plug out of a piece of ginger. It's an old practice, apparently.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
It goes back to like the 1400s or something. Apparently, also, it's where the term cocktail comes from. So you're trying to sell a horse with a droopy tail to an uneducated horse buyer might look sad, old, and tired. You make that horse a big, thick ginger butt plug and shove it up there, and all of a sudden its tail goes up, it's cocked its tail, and it's ready to go. And if you look at cocktails, they were old. All the old cocktails were considered breakfast drinks. They were supposed to be drunk at the morning to
get your tail back up.
Get your ass going, get yourself going. Now I'm just going to grate some ginger into this mug. An inch of it, apparently.
That's for the entire half gallon.
That's for a half a gallon. Got it. So that's enough of that. Yeah, just grate a little bit of ginger in if you're making a single glass, or half an inch if you're making a half a gallon. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of cardamom in there. A little tiny bit of this ground clove. I mean, like a very tiny amount.
Less is more with clove.
Oh yeah. And some orange zest. I love some orange zest in a drink. And just a little bit of grated cinnamon. And I will now fill my flagon with Nord Mead. Give this a stir, and maybe a little muddle if we have reason to. I don't know what the Nords say, but to Ulfric Stormcloak, I guess. That's really cool. That wakes it up quite a bit. Let's pour some more honey in it. Make it taste like I want it to. No, that's really interesting. That adds a lot of more bright orange and cinnamon notes. Honestly, I could have a lot more of those flavors in here for my own taste. Now, we're kind of cheating that one just a touch because that should have gone in with a half a gallon and waited like a week or something like that. But this gets you there. It works fine. I like that. Still bright, citrusy, tangy, cinnamony, clovey, cardamom-y. All of those things, wonderful. The Nords have a very developed palate. Let's say that. A wonderful thing to learn about those peoples. Actually, what my Swedish uncle would always say is, Skål! I asked him, he wants to explain to me, yeah, that's because the Vikings used to drink from the skulls of their enemies. It's like, okay. We're gonna have a great time with this episode.
No, that one it's so whiny to me, the last one.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very whiny.
I'm gonna talk about Rome for a second here. In a way that honey never could be, ancient Roman winemaking was major industry. There was huge wine producing factories. They would take all of these grapes from all over the country. They had a certain amount of time that they wanted to age them. Then they would press the grapes, right? And then they would take your first pressings, that makes your expensive wine. Second pressings, third pressings. Then maybe a fourth pressing. They would soak the pressed grapes in water and press that seawater, maybe, any kind of water, and they would do a 4th or 5th pressing. The amount of wine that Rome had to produce in a given year to keep Rome moving. I was looking into it like months and months ago for a Drink Like the Romans episode that we never did. It's a lot of wine, and a lot of the wine that they talk about drinking was actually just vinegar. And so they drank a lot of vinegar too. Not bad, actually. I've had that. We made a pasca. Every stupid article online is like, this was the Gatorade for the Roman gladiators. This was the energy drink for the Roman centurions. Pasca.
It does have electrolytes in it, though.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes in it. It's got electrolytes, honey, and some herbs and stuff like that. But really, I think that it was just religion. I think they just thought it was important to drink it.
Anything with flavor, by the way, was super not awful.
That's a good point, too. Yeah, I mean, I talk about that on the show a lot, too. I mean, is that, like, I talk about a lot on the show that, like, people's tastes have gotten drier over time. Back in the day, I mean, like even 300 years ago, if you could afford to add sugar to something, you didn't hold fucking back unless you had something else you wanted to add sugar to afterwards. It tastes good. You wanted it. It was hard to get. It was a rare, wonderful experience to have that sweetness.
Is that the one that got jammed?
No, this one flows on. Nice flow. This guy's prostate is looking great. I finished it. Fuck.